Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Monday Night Raw. So let's get started with the final segment, which was the Roman Reigns segment with Paul Heyman. We wanted to know what Paul Heyman is going to do. What is he choosing sides? Is he going to pick Roman? Is he going to pick CM Punk? And when Roman Reigns showed up to the arena, Roman Reigns saw Paul Heyman sitting down with CM Punk, and Roman was just looking at Paul like, look at this two-time salute over here cheating on me with CM Punk in front of my face like that. Roman Reigns was not happy, and he freaking bashed Paul Heyman. He was like, why, Paul? How can you betray me like that? And then right when we were about to get an answer, here comes Seth Rollins. But I believe Paul Heyman was able to get a few words in. Paul Heyman said that this isn't a betrayal. This is simply a favor that he owed CM Punk that he's paying. But Roman Reigns was not happy with that answer. Seth Rollins comes out. He tries to he tries to instigate. Seth Rollins, he's so annoying in this whole thing, and I don't know if that's done on purpose, but I'm just so done with Seth Rollins when it comes to all this. But we still don't know what's happening with Paul Heyman. Who's he gonna pick, Roman or Punk? But after what we saw today, I think I might have an idea. But before I get into sharing my thoughts about this, Blood, I'm gonna let you go first. Like always, you do the honors. Get us started with this this final segment of Monday Night Raw. What were your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I was mostly satisfied, which is, in many recent years past, the go home show of Raw has been very hit or miss. Like, we've had some go home shows for Mania that have just been horrible. Like, nothing happens, nothing of note. The guys that are supposed to be in the matches this weekend, the biggest ones, don't even show up for that go home show or some bullshit. Like, this was a great go home show for WrestleMania. I was worried about it because I spent the day at Epic Universe and was rushing to get home so I could see the go home show. And man, and what I really wanted to see was, I was hoping that we would get either like John Cena and Cody, like a surprise thing, even I know that John is going to be there on Friday Night SmackDown, or I was hoping we'd get something more from Punk. And I thought this was so cool, man. Like, Roman pulling up in that freaking SUV, looking over at Heyman and Punk like a jealous ex-lover, like, in front of me, right here, with the kids. I thought it was just hilarious, and Roman really trying to cut Heyman down to size. The only thing that I thought was like a little off about this, like, we always know that Roman's always had that insecurity, that kind of he fantasizes things, or he romanticizes the bad happening to him worse than it actually is, without ever taking full stock of his part in things. And the truth is, he had ostracized everybody as the heel tribal chief, so no one wanted to help them in War Games. They were, what did you want to happen? Did you want to get outnumbered in the War Games cage and get stomped and have to eat that loss? Or did you want to swallow your pride and accept the help of CM Punk? And he swallowed his pride and accepted the help of CM Punk on the word of the wise man. You may not have agreed to the favor, but you agreed to the help. And the thing is without Punk, they lose that War Games match. Don't forget, they were, I believe, if I remember correctly, when Bronson Reed, because he injured his ankles in the spot, when he jumped off the top, he was going to try to crush Reigns onto that table. He was going to try to flatten him like into the earth. Punk yanked Roman out of harm's way and saved him. Okay? They shook hands. So how are you going to sit here now and act like Punk is this horrible backstabbing, this yada yada? Like, dude, you accepted the help. You agreed for him to be on the team. Rollins is the one who turned you down when he could have helped you, and he chose not to because of his ego. And now here we are in the ring, and you're pie-facing Paul out of anger and jealousy. And it's like, Paul didn't betray you. Paul legit, how is this fair that Paul's a bad guy for helping you when you didn't ask for it, but when he was begging for you to come save him from Solo last year, you were nowhere to be seen for months. You left him hanging out to dry at the mercy of Bloodline 2.0. And they put him through a table, for Christ's sakes. He didn't sleep for days. And he still, after being abandoned by you, literally laid down on his sword for you and refused to acknowledge someone else over you. But somehow he's a traitor? You abandoned him. And if you really cared about Paul, you'd think that you would care about his feelings, right? You think you would care that you may be his tribal chief, but you know that Punk is his best friend. And if you cared about him truly, you would actually be like, you know what? After everything you've done for me in the last year, sticking up for me, helping us, even though I didn't want it, but doing it anyway, support your friend this one time because I know it's a dream of yours. And if a real friend would give up their pride in that moment. And it resulted in Rollins making sure that Roman didn't get manipulated by Rollins again. But what I really care about is that closing part, right? Where after Heyman's pie face, and Rollins has been clotheslined out the ring, like a good clothesline, by the way. That was a nice clothesline. And all of a sudden, out comes CM Punk to defend Heyman, but he goes straight for Reigns, and he takes him down. All of a sudden, here comes the spear. Okay, now here comes the chair shot to the back for the third time now in their history, mimicking the Shield betrayal. The Shield betrayal, I believe when they had that feud several years ago, where it ended with Roman beating him Reigns losing by disqualification. And then at Mania last year in the main event, and now another back shot. You're talking about people betraying you while you're listening to a guy talk about how, oh, well, he's betrayed you and you can't trust him. But the guy who's the baby face that you hate in Rollins is the one guy who keeps actually hitting you in the back from behind. I thought it was great because it really paints Rollins as a real hypocrite, kind of a real villain, because no matter what he does, he always attacks Roman when he's not looking, but somehow Roman's the villain in their story. And the truth is, Rollins has always been the villain in their story. Even when they were both heels, Rollins has been the bad guy. So I thought this was a great way to go off air. Nice bow wrap. This is my favorite match for the weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.
What was your major takeaway from this, Toxic?
I enjoyed this. I am super excited for the Mania match already as it is. And every week that goes by with this, it's just making me more excited and more excited and more excited that I can't wait. I want WrestleMania to be here because it is my absolute favorite time of the year. Christmas? No. Halloween? No. Easter? No. Thanksgiving? No. WrestleMania week is my favorite holiday of the year.
Absolutely. We're off to a great start. Yeah, we're off to a great start for WrestleMania week. Do you have any predictions? I guess we're gonna do WrestleMania predictions in a couple of days, so we'll wait on predictions. Tommy, what did you think about the closing segment for Monday Night Raw tonight?
I loved it. The callback, everything. But I'm going to correct, as much as we all love Michael Cole, something a little bit with this.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you're wrong. CM Punk was not the first Paul Heyman guy. If you go all the way back, that was the Wild Samoans. Samoans were the ones that started off with Heyman.
So Cole called him the first Paul Heyman guy?
Michael Cole said that if you look back in history, CM Punk is the first Paul Heyman guy. No, that's the Wild Samoans.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been like CM Punk was the first guy to be named a Paul Heyman guy. I don't think the Wild Samoans were calling themselves Paul Heyman guys back then. Could that be it?
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
But with this segment, I truly love the callback to the Shield. Once again, they keep doing this. They keep doing this callback. And when it comes to these two, it means so much more than just a single moment in history. No, these two have a massive grudge, one that they will not let go. And I absolutely love that. The fact that they keep calling back to that moment, because it truly was one of Roman Reigns' biggest moments in WWE history.
Absolutely. I want to give a quick shout out to Rocha, Jamie O'Neill, and the Dark Knight. They're on the comment section. They all believe that it's a possibility that Seth Rollins could maybe join Cena and The Rock and join like this major heel faction. Yeah, but shout out to them. Thank you guys. Anything else you want to add, Tommy, before we go over to BT Night?
That ending shot. I love the fact that the way they went off is Paul Heyman backed into a corner with the most terrified look on his face, just looking at Seth. That is brilliant, the way they went off air like that.
Mm-hmm. BT? I think you're on mute, BT. We can't hear you.
No. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just trying to find the words to describe this, and I don't have any, because this was cinema at its fucking finest. From Roman Reigns pulling up in his luxurious car, to seeing Paul Heyman sitting with his best friend in Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk. It was absolutely incredible. I don't have any words to describe this segment, and yeah, Tommy put it perfectly. That last shot was chef's kiss. So
yeah, for
stuff.
sure. Man, Seth Rollins, okay, he's my least favorite in all this. Maybe that's because I've become to be one of the biggest Punk fans ever. Also, you know, I like to poke fun at Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns is also that guy, you know. It just feels like Seth Rollins always has bad timing. Whenever we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of things, whenever we're finally going to get some answers, Seth Rollins comes out and he puts everything like on pause. And like he just starts like instigating, and then we never hear what Paul Heyman actually has to say because Seth Rollins came out and interrupted again. But in Seth Rollins' promo, no matter how much I don't like Seth Rollins, he did say a lot of interesting things, which he mentioned the whole thing that the winner of this match is basically going to define the future of the WWE. And Seth Rollins believes that it can't be Roman because he's never there, which he has a point. And it can't be Punk because Punk, I forgot exactly. Basically, he just leaves. He's not reliable. You can't depend on Punk to lead the company. It'll ruin the business, basically what Seth Rollins was saying, right? So Seth believes it has to be him because he will always do what's good for business. Wasn't that a callback to what Triple H used to say, right? Which I thought was really interesting. Then we fast forward, he does a Shield chair shot again. Is this going to lead to Seth Rollins maybe turning heel? That was my first.
Not to mention the outfit that Rollins was wearing tonight. It was very close to the Shield look as well.
Good point. Yes, that is true. that was my first, my first thought. My second thought after Roman Reigns hit CM Punk with that spear, it was because CM Punk was trying to look over or check on Paul Heyman, which to me leads me to believe that Paul Heyman could just be playing CM Punk in all of this. Paul Heyman is making CM Punk think he's going to choose his side and then turn around and just go back to Roman Reigns and just be like, ha, got you, motherfucker. I was never going to pick you over Roman Reigns. At least that's what it seemed like tonight a little bit. Paul Heyman a little bit distracting CM Punk, letting Roman Reigns set up for the spear. CM Punk gets hit with the spear, but then you have the stare down with Seth Rollins after. So now I don't fucking know, man. Last week after SmackDown, I thought for sure Seth Rollins is going to be the next Paul Heyman guy, but after tonight, I don't fucking know. Closing thoughts on this, fellas. Anything else you want to add, Blood, about any of this?
I'll go second. BT's had his hand up.
Go ahead, BT.
I just wanted to quickly say, I just thought of this as we were talking about Seth Rollins. Seth acknowledging the crowd for their hypocrisy, like in his vision, like saying, oh, you really want this company to fail so badly under CM Punk's hands? Well, guess what? I don't. So he appreciates the crowd, but he doesn't like it when they start chanting Punk's name. It really sets him off, and we've seen that many times. I love how they continue to nitpick on that. So I wanted to quickly bring that up.
Kind of heelish, isn't it?
Well, that was what the two thoughts I had. One, the closing shot, but the two angles that we got. One, what Tommy said, that great shot of Paul being backed into a corner. But I'm taking that as a visual metaphor for them all literally backing Paul into a corner. He has to choose between his best friend, his tribal chief, and now this other guy who says he owes him a favor because he spared him a stomp last week. But remember when I said that if Paul did turn heel on Reigns and Punk, it would be because they put him in the middle and played tug of war with him? This still goes back into my further original point. What if Paul Heyman turns heel and joins Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins also turns heel? I did say last week, I don't think Rollins leaves Mania without a heel turn. But here's why I say that to my second point. The second shot, how the camera ended lingering on Rollins. The way his hair was disheveled and he looked psychotic and he was so grit and determined. He's still holding that chair. That chair shot heard around the world, right? Remember that, all these callbacks. He destroyed the closest relationship he had ever had in the business to do what was best for business, an authority callback. But did the way he looked and the way he was holding that chair, did that look like a baby face to you?
No, he's being very heelish, yeah.
Exactly. I really do think we can't leave Mania night one without a heel turn from Seth. And I don't think it happens because think about this. All this callback they're doing to Heyman and Punk's promo years ago when they talked about walking down to WrestleMania together. They put so much emphasis on that in the last 2 weeks, and that clip went viral, right? Of all the times that you could turn Paul against Punk, where it would hurt the most, shock the fans the most, it would be now to do that harkened callback, give the fans what they want. We finally get that beautiful moment for Punk. And the one guy who believed that Punk could main event Mania is the one guy that costs him the win in the main event match. That would be cinema.
Sometimes I just wish Seth Rollins wasn't even involved in any of this.
But you know what? I'm with you. I'm 100% agree. You and I are both the biggest Punk fans in the fuck. I'm unapologetically Punk. That man, like I told you, man could smack his mom alive on TV and I'd be like, well, what did she say to him? You know, like legit, like I'd victim blame. But at the same time, when I look at Seth, he fits in this story, but he also doesn't. Because he makes sense for the emotional turmoil that both men are facing, right? Punk and Reigns both have a serious history with Rollins. They're both in the WWE main roster because of CM Punk. Heyman is both one and the other's guy. And now the only guy in there that has no history with Heyman now is creating history with Heyman. It makes sense from so many angles, but I genuinely think that this has to be the last time that something between these men happens on this scale, in my opinion. And it was because tonight Michael Cole said something before I passed on Tommy, something that I thought was very, very, very heartbreaking. He literally says on commentary as Roman's come down the ring, and now that the Shield is broken up and all the members have gone their separate way, now that the Bloodline is broken up and all the Bloodline members have gone their separate ways, the Bloodline is no more. And I thought, whoa. You're telling me the Bloodline story is fully ended like that? Like, just what, the last Bloodline thing, period, was just between Solo and Roman? That's how you're telling me the Bloodline story ended? Why are you telling me that right here, right now? I'm still waiting on the Rock and Roman shoe to drop, you know?
Yeah, they can still pull that off.
So
they can always bring that back.
That was a little heartbreaking for me. I was like, don't tell me you just basically just in a passing note on commentary just told me the Bloodline story's over. What? We cannot go out like that.
I don't think it's ever going to be over.
No, me either. But Tommy?
For the first time, or for one of the first times, I can truly say that everything, like every little bit of what Seth said tonight was full on fact. He dug into the fact that technically Heyman doesn't owe Punk anything. It is his choice if he fully decides to go through with it. And with him agreeing like he did last week, it's kind of telling me that that's exactly what he's going to do, is he's going to fully go through with it and then eventually at some point in the match screw him over. But everything, every little bit that Seth said tonight, like, tell me when he's lying, because he's not. That entire promo was nothing but truth and fact the entire time.
No, I mean, except for the fact that he says it has to be him to lead the, to be the future of the WWE.
Yeah, that's the part I disagree with in promo. Why does it have to be you, Seth? How is it selfless if you're trying to be self-righteous about it?
Well, he said that Roman is never there. He's only there when it's convenient.
He said it has to be him.
And Punk is
no one else in that back can carry the company the way you do. Is that what you're saying? But also, Tommy, to your point, he was wrong because he said that it's a choice that Paul Heyman made, right? But how can you tell a man that he's a betrayer and dishonest and dishonorable while you're telling him that, I mean, you can make the choice and keep your promise and be honorable? That don't make sense, homie. You either want Heyman to prove you wrong and be an honorable man and keep his word that he gave when someone risked their fucking body to help you when you needed him to in exchange for help from you later. And by the way, the favor is so uneven. Punk risked his health and well-being to help Heyman and the Bloodline, and all he asked for in return was just walk down to the ring with me and just be there. Punk is selfless here. He's like, I'll help you. I just want you to be my friend on the way to the ring. Why is that such a dastardly thing?
Because I think there's going to be something more happening during the match itself.
But then it comes back down to ego. So you can't call Punk and Heyman dishonorable when everything that you're spouting against them is just your own bullheaded, egotistical rhetoric. It's your fears and insecurities speaking, not facts.
Look, all that is true, but also like CM Punk ain't no dummy. He knows what he's doing. Maybe he just wants to fucking, get in the middle of Paul and Roman just for his own fucking selfless fun or whatever. But I want to give a quick shout out to AR15 who's in the comments. He says because he was chosen by the authorities and he want that back. I'm assuming he's talking about. Where'd everyone go? What the hell happened? Hold on, y'all. Jesus Christ.
Break. But
hold on. Something went wrong here on my shit.
Did the live go down?
No, the live is up.
Oh, well then, okay. Cha, the show must go on. The show must go on.
I don't have Tommy. I lost Toxic.
Yeah, Toxic's like gone for us too.
All right, look. When it comes to all of this, we kind of spoke about like our Mount Rushmore the other day, and this kind of reminds me a little bit of that because we talked about Chris Jericho when he won the first ever Undisputed Champion, when he was in the middle of The Rock in Austin, and he was kind of just there, and then he ended up winning. That kind of reminds me of this a little bit. You have Roman and Punk, who are the biggest stars in WWE right now, and then you have Seth Rollins. He's just there. And it's just like,
he is one of the biggest stars in that company. But if we're being honest, you put those three men in a line. Seth is the least over guy, and people will have, and there's Seth Rollins defenders, and people misunderstand what we talk about when we say that if you take away Seth Rollins, his lights and the music and the sing-along crap and the flashy clothes, all he has is his wrestling ability. What is his character other than self-righteous company guy?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Paul Heyman, he could be a 2-timing whore or a 3-timing slew. We don't know. I guess we'll find out.
What we
4 times
also
on Saturday.
Seem to be forgetting as well is the fact that Heyman has a history of fully betraying who he's working for. He did it with Punk. He did it with Brock. Is it a possibility he does it with Roman too on Saturday?
Well, remember, there was one point in time where they actually did have Heyman betray Roman, and then they retconned it, and then turned it into him betraying Brock. But he did betray Roman at one point, remember? Because Roman straight up dropped him in the ring. People forget about that part in the Bloodline story.
Yeah.
He's already betrayed Roman once, but he's also betrayed Punk, and he's also betrayed Brock. He's never had to deal with Seth to betray him, but people are like, there's history. Paul has betrayed everybody, but this is the one time where he's like, dude, I just don't want to be in the middle. I'm trying to be loyal to you, but you fucking abandoned me last year. You're never grateful for anything I do. I'm trying to be loyal to you. You're my best friend, and I want to walk down the ring with you, but you weren't here either when I needed you. You didn't run down to the ring to save me with Solo and then put me through a table. But you know who showed me mercy? Seth Rollins, when he could have curb stomped me and he didn't.
Well, besides that was a closing segment for Monday Night Raw, and it was a hell of a way to close the last Raw before WrestleMania.